Okay, welcome, friends. So we're gonna get started out in a cross-legged position, and you can have your sit bones right down to your mats. If you've got like a block or a blanket or a bolster, you could also prop your sit bones up onto the edge of that prop. Wherever you find yourself at, take a moment just to lengthen up tall through your spine. Roll your shoulder heads down away from the ears on the back. And then just relax the weight of your arms and let yourself settle into this. We'll warm up our breath with a 3-part breath exercise. So everyone take a big exhale all the way down to empty. And then breathe into your low belly and your low back. Breathe into your mid-abdomen, into your mid-back. Breathe all the way into your chest, all the way into the shoulders. Once you've got that full breath, just hold and relax. And then exhale for 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We'll do that again. Breathe into the low belly, the low back for 1, 2, 3, and hold. Breathe up into your mid-abdomen to your mid-back for 1, 2, 3, and hold. And then all the way into the chest, all the way to the shoulders. Once you've got that full breath, just hold it, relax. And then exhale slow and controlled all the way down to empty. From here, start to move into your Ujjayi breathing. So slow inhales through the nose like you're sipping the air in through a straw from the bottom to the top. And then controlled exhales out the nose like you're fogging up a mirror down to empty. Letting the muscles in the back of the throat narrow how you pull the air in and narrow how the air exits, creating that sound of ocean waves in your head. And then as we focus in on the breath, we start to let the mind focus in on what's happening right here, what's happening right now, and let all of that activity, all of that planning, all of that fixing, solving, changing, worrying, just relax out to the edges. As always, please take what works for me, leave the rest behind, and just allow that breath to be your guide for your practice. Keeping the eyes closed, begin inhales where you sweep your arms out wide and tall, and then exhales where you press your palms together and just draw your hands down to your heart center, so right in front of your sternum. And let the movement of your body just match that breath. So as you're focusing on slowing down the breathing, we can focus on just swimming the body through space. And the next time that your hands come down into your heart center, we can just bring the eyes open to a soft gaze up front. If you are on a block or a bolster or blanket, slide it out of the way. And then extend your legs out in front and stay with your breathing, but just give a nice roll out through your feet, through your ankles, maybe pump through your knees. And to set up a seated twist, leave that left leg extended, grab your right leg, and just start to cradle the right leg towards your body. If you start to notice your spine is collapsing inwards, just lengthen up through your spine. And then plant your right foot to the outside of your left thigh. Left leg can stay extended or just bend your knees so the heel is to the outside of your sit bone. We'll start to take this twist over to the right, so you can wrap your left arm to the outside of the right leg. Right hand comes back behind. And then inhale just to lengthen up tall through the spine. And as you exhale, twist from center and just take your gaze back across your shoulder. And then you get to feel the work of a deep breath inside of a stretch like this. So with our twist, that inhale comes in against the twist, fills up. And then when the exhale releases out, your body relaxes and lets go a little bit more into your twist. So stay right where you're at, or start to tilt your left ear forward to your left shoulder, lengthening out the right side of your neck. If you want to get to the front right edge of your neck, the chin can lift slightly up. Or if you want to get to the back right edge of your neck, your chin can come forward and down. If your head is tilted to the side, use an inhale to lengthen your head up, gaze to the right. On the exhale, just twist from center, back over the shoulder, down to empty. And then we can release forward, uncross the legs, take the legs out in front. And again, just give a little bit of a roll out. This should feel good through your feet, all the way up through the knees, through the back of the legs, through your shins. Leave that right leg extended. Grab your left leg and just start to cradle on, or just your arms extended. Checking with that spine again, so lift up tall. And then let the left foot come to the outside of the right thigh, right leg extended, or you're bending the knees so the heels to the outside of your sit bone. We're taking the twist over to the left, so right arm wraps to the outside of your left leg, left hand behind you. Inhale to reach up tall. And on that exhale, twist from center and send the gaze back over your shoulder. Nice deep inhales, nice long exhales. Stay right where you're at, or just add now the tilt of the head over to the right shoulder, so stretching out the left side of your neck. And then use the chin lifting or coming down to find the edges of the neck. And then if your head is tilted to the side, inhale, come up tall through the spine, gaze to the left, and on the exhale, just twist from center, take the gaze back over the shoulder, down to empty. Awesome. Release back forward. Unwind the body out of this. And then last one on our sit bones is going to be cobbler's pose, so Baddha Konasana, bound angle pose. Bottoms of the feet together. Just take a moment to get to the front edge of your sit bones. Inhale to stretch up tall through your spine. Breathe in. And on that exhale, hinge out from your hips. And as you start to take your gaze down, let the crown of the head gently extend forward. Hands wherever it's good for you, so your ankles, your feet, your toes, the mat. Maybe weight of the elbows resting or pressing to the inside of the legs, giving that gentle open through the knees, the hips. And letting the breath help just to guide you deeper. As you wrap up the round of breath that you're on, vertebrae by vertebrae, start to bring your spine back up, and then you can cross through the ankles and come from your sit bones into a tabletop. And once you've got those hands under your shoulders, hips underneath your knees, start to work between cat and cow at your own pace. Cow, that bow through your spine, dropping the belly, lifting up through the chest, the tailbone, and then cat, rounding your back, head relaxing, mid-back pulling up tall, tailbone pointing down. Maybe a little rocking forwards and backwards, or to the left or right while you're working through those. And just staying right there with that breath. Awesome. Come to your neutral, flat back, hands and knees, and then we'll warm up the hands, wrists, forearms. So you're kind of leaning a little bit more back towards your heels, the sit bones back towards your heels, but then you take the palms to the mat with the insides of the wrists forward. Thumbs are pointing to the sides of the room and fingers are back. And then slow motion, lean back and peel your hands off your mat back to your fingertips. And then slowly roll back forward till the heel of the palm presses down. You could also try holding the heel of the palm into the mat and just giving side to side circles or back and forth movement without lifting the hands back to the fingertips. We'll switch now to the back of the hands into the mat. Your thumbs point inside, fingers point backwards. Again, more of the weight of the body is a little bit back towards the heels, so you're not putting so much pressure down into the hands. But this might just be side to side, back and forth, little circle movements. And then hero's pose to roll out your hands. So knees together, tops of the feet to the ground, sit bones to your heels, and then just give it a nice roll out through your wrists. At times you can close through your fists, and at times you can open and spread through your fingers. Awesome. We'll get into a plank and then more into our power practice, but before that, just find a child's pose. So take the knees out wide to the edges of the mat. Tops of the feet to the ground, big toes together, and let the forehead come down to the mat with the arms out in front of you. Now we do want the weight of the body back towards the heels, the sit bones back towards your heels. At some point while we're holding this, it might actually feel nice to press your hands forward, drive them forward into the mat, so you're pressing your sit bones closer back towards your heels, maybe for like a round of breath, and then just releasing back into it. So from child's pose, we're going to come into a plank, and our plank is actually going to be the initial setup for our down dog. So as you find that plank, it might feel nice just to rock slightly forwards and backwards, letting those biceps toning to center line, unlocking the elbows, finding that micro bend in them. feeling those core muscles, holding the hips up on level with the shoulders. And then when you're ready for it, just reach those hips up and back in space. Maybe step your toes in a little closer. Feel spread out into the circle of your palm, into your fingers. Bend your knees a bit and relax the weight of the head. Let the biceps tone into center line. And then let your left heel reach down towards the ground as you bend your right knee, and then your left hip pulls away from your right hand. And switch that out, so right heel towards the ground, bend your left knee, let your right hip pull away from your left hand. Start to let both of your heels equally pull down to the ground. Relax the weight of the head. And this sensation, right, we're looking for is that combination of muscular engagement and stretching at the same time. Nice, Liz. Your next exhale, just bend the knees, look between the hands, and step or float up into the forward fold at the top of your mats. Inhale brings us to a half lift spinal extension. So bend the knees a bit, press into the shins or the thighs, and then bring the spine parallel to the ground, gazes down, the crown reaches forward. Core muscles engaged for your low back. And then your biceps tone in, your shoulders tone in towards one another for that upper spine, like you've got a pencil between them. Take a deep inhale here. On the next exhale, take that strength and that length and just let it fold and completely release down to the ground. You might have your fingers to the ground or the knuckles or the palms. Give your head just a slow nod, yes. Slow side to side nod, no. And then with the weight in the head and the arms, vertebrae by vertebrae, roll up. Your head is the last thing that comes up. As your head comes up, inhaling to reach your arms tall. And on that exhale, just bringing the hands down into your heart center. Inhale into chair, so Utkatasana. So your squat, your sit bones are reaching back. If you practice with your big toes together, you want to bring the ankle bones, knees, and thighs all pressing in at center line. Otherwise, we've got everything at hip bone distance. So the feet on parallel, the knees on parallel, right up to the hips. As you're taking that seat back, get strong through your legs, strong through your glutes, core nice and strong for the low back, and then again, shoulder blades for that upper back. Bring the hands to your chest, draw a deep breath in. And then as we twist open to the right, you're guiding that left elbow to the top outside of your right thigh. Nice, Patty. And you're checking, especially if your knees are at hip bone distance, that your left knee's not twisting super far beyond your right knee. Knees lined up in front of you, so hips are lined up back behind you. Okay, now open your arms up. So let the right arm extend to the sky, and then the left arm is just opening on the outside of that right thigh. Gaze is over to the side of the room, and it's a big opening through your chest while you're staying with that breathing. Awesome, friends. Next exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway up, lengthen through the spine. Refold on that exhale, hold navel to spine at empty, and reverse swan dive, so pressing away from the ground, inhaling arms up tall in space, breathe in, and then hands into the heart center on the exhale. Inhale to rise up, breathe into mountain, and on that exhale, hinge out from the hips and swan dive down into your forward fold. Inhale halfway up, and then you can plant your hands, move into your plank, and your choice how you want to go to down dog. You can go directly or exhale halfway to chaturanga, root to the tops of the feet, inhale upward facing dog, suspending the weight of the body on the tops of the feet and the hands, biceps toning in, opening through the chest, and then eventually that move back into your down dog. Take a couple rounds of breath to get back into it, into the engagement, into that length, that strength. And then on an inhale, right leg to the top corner of the back wall, three-legged down dog. And press your heel up and back in space so that you're guiding the front of your right hip bone down and back. The visualization is scissor blades opening away from one another, where as they open, the blades don't start to face different directions. They're always facing the same direction. And this is that really nice length from your hands all the way back up through your heel. Your next exhale, just step the foot up between your hands, find a low lunge position, and then we're going to take that up into a high crescent lunge. So your thighs start to tone right into center line. Arms come up nice and tall. As we're loading the weight into that front right knee, you're pressing down into the right leg, your glutes hugging back up away from your knee, and again, we've got the core and we've got the shoulders for the spine. Just like you did from chair, start to bring your hands to your chest. Draw a deep breath in, and on your exhale, take that hinge and twist. So left elbow into that same spot, top outside of that right thigh. Twisting your chest open towards the right wall. We start to play with our balance here. If you fall out of it, no worries. Come back into it. And then separate the arms out when you're ready. So right arm straight up in space, left arm on the outside of that right thigh. Nice cat. Okay, friends, inhale, rise back up into that high crescent lunge. And on the exhale, we're going to bring the hands down back to your low lunge. Take the weight into your fingertips, into your right foot, and draw the left leg up to standing splits. All this is a standing forward fold just on your right leg. Fingertips, fists, or palms pressing to the ground. And you want to feel the press into your fingertips, fists, or palms to the point where it's like you're taking your body up to a handstand. It's that kind of pressing downwards engagement through your arms and through your core. Nice, Haley. The weight of the head relaxed, gazes back behind you, lifting up through that left leg, breathing in. And then you have a full forward fold when you're ready. Just release that left foot to meet the right. Inhale brings us halfway up. Exhale to refold. And then reverse swan dive. Inhale, arms tall up in space. Breathe in. Hands into the heart center on that exhale. Okay, let the right foot be your base, and then for our one-legged balance, start to draw your left leg up in space. So this is just like mountain pose. Your left leg is lifted. So our one-legged mountain. Excellent. We're going to start to work with figure four. So the indentation on the outside of your left ankle is going to go right over the ridge of your thigh, close to your knee on that right leg. We find dorsal flexion in that left foot, so your heel is pointing out to the wall, your toes are kind of flexing back into your shin. And then you're taking a squat just in the right leg, so it's a one-legged chair, hands to your heart center. And then, friends, this is a great place to stay. However, if you want to continue with the theme of the prayer twist and the open, we can try it from here. So your right hand could press into that left heel. And then you could start to guide the left elbow into the bottom of the left foot. You could do palm to palm, or you can make a fist with your left hand, open palm with your right. That's a great place to stay as well. And then you could try the opening of the arms here. So that left arm opening out and down, and that right arm extending up in space. And as always, stay super playful with your balance, right? If you fall out of it, come back and try it again. And I swear some days it's just easier to balance than others. The nice part is you can call it when you're ready, right? Just rise back up. And then let that left foot come to the ground, and your right leg might need a little movement from it. Awesome. So we're going to do a forward fold, but with a bind of our hands behind us. So Start to bring your fingers back in space, interlacing at your knuckles. Bend your knees a little bit. And then elbows are kind of lifting a little up and back. Shoulder blades are coming in. Fingers are reaching down. And then on that exhale, you can fold it forward. Relax the weight of your head. Let those elbows slightly bend forward. Fingers reach up in space. You can stay still. You can explore any side-to-side movement or a little nod yes or no through your head here. Nice breathing. Release the weight of your arms when you're ready. Might feel nice to do a little ragdoll frame for a couple rounds of breath, just letting yourself sway side to side or rock back and forth. And then release the weight of the arms completely and take that vertebrae by vertebrae wind up. Head is the last thing to come up as the head comes up, inhaling to reach the arms tall. And then bringing the hands down into your heart center. Okay, so chair pose. Keeping the feet at hip bone distance or drawing in those big toes, ankle bones, knees, and thighs. Finding the engagement of your legs all the way up through your glutes, your core, all the way into your shoulders, and then bring the hands to your chest. Draw that deep breath in. And on your exhale, we're going to start to twist over to the left wall. So that right elbow to the top outside of your left thigh. If you haven't, right, just checking in on the knees, lining them up in front of you, hips behind you. The gaze helps a lot with these twists, so if we can get the gaze kind of open to the left, we can help to open the chest up to the side. Nice, Lindsay. And then we can extend that left arm up tall in space, right arm open on the outside of the left eye, and giving that press down into it. That is a point that you're actually getting to twist away from, twist the chest away from. On an exhale, just let it fold forward, release out of the squats. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, refold. Hold navel to spine and empty in. Reverse swan dive. Inhale, arms tall. On the exhale, let the hands come down into your heart center. Inhale, rise up, mountain. And on that exhale, hinge out from your hips and control your swan dive down into your forward fold. Release the head completely. Inhale, halfway up. This time, plant the hands. Come back to your plank. Your choice how you work into down dog. Maybe you're taking that vinyasa flow, so chaturanga, upward facing dog on an inhale, and then meeting back in our down dog. And again, grab a couple rounds of breath, just reconnecting with your downward facing dog. When you're ready for it, let's take the left leg back up to three-legged down dog. And again, like you're pressing your heel up into that wall back behind you. So front of your left hip bone is pointing down and back as you lift and extend back up in space. And feel that from your hands all the way back up through your heel. Breathe into it. And on your exhale, we've got a low lunge position. Once you've walked your foot up or stepped your foot up to where you want it, start to rise up into your high crescent lunge. Your arms coming up nice and tall. Letting those thighs tone into center line. Feeling that push off of your legs. That pull of your glute back up, your left glute back up away. Core nice and strong, shoulders engaged. And then bring the hands to your chest on your inhale. And as you exhale, just hinge forward and twist open to the left so that we bring that right elbow to the top outside of the left thigh once again. Crown of the head reaching forward. Gazing to the left, and you're playing with your balance as you're twisting your gaze away from where your legs are pointing. You can open your arms up when you're ready, so that right arm can open on the outside of the left thigh. Left arm reaches up tall in space. Awesome, Anita. Inhale, rise back up into that high crescent lunge. And on your exhale, we're coming down into our low lunge, so both hands are framing the left foot. Take the weight into your foot, into your fingertips, fists, or palms, and then standing splits with your right leg lifting. If you haven't yet, right, start to engage down through the arms. And it's upper body strength that's then pressing down into the ground all the way through your core, that's pressing down into the ground. So we can feel that as we're lifting that right leg up, we're also pressing that right leg up through the upper body. Nice, Patty. On an exhale, just release to a full forward fold at the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway up, lengthen, strengthen the spine. Exhale to refold, and then that reverse swan dive to standing, inhaling arms wide and tall. And on the exhale, bringing your hands down into your heart center. Okay, we'll go for our one-legged balance. This time your left leg is your base. So we want to start to fix our gaze somewhere in front of us that's not moving as we draw that right knee up in space and extend up tall through your arms, our one-legged mountain. And then the move we're playing with is the figure four. So we cross the right ankle over the top, over the left knee or thigh, and again, you're kind of notching up the indentation on the outside of the ankle. Hands can come into your heart center as you're focusing on that dorsal flexion in your right foot, right knee gently flexing down, that squat in your left leg. And if you're playing with your twist, you can bring your left hand to your right heel and then start to guide your right elbow to the bottom of the right foot and then refocus your gaze over towards the left side of the room. Left hand could go over the right, and then we can open the arms up if you like. Awesome, Amy. And remember that, I always say it, that playfulness with balance. These are just games that we get to play. Nice. Last couple rounds of breath. You're doing great. So when you're ready, we can start to rise back up, find that one-legged mountain. And then when you're ready, bring the right foot to the ground, and you can give your left leg a little bit of a shake out and release. Excellent. So from the top of the mat, just inhale to extend and reach your arms up nice and tall in space. Breathe in. And as you exhale, hinge out from your hips and swan dive to your forward fold. So we could do gorilla, where you're stepping your palms underneath your feet with the toes to the back of the wrist, back of the hands down. You could take the peace sign fingers to the big toes. You could also grab the hands to the back of the calves with the fingers going down the ankles. A baby half lift in those might feel nice to grab a little bit of extension, and then you get to focus on the fold. And with the connection, the hands to the feet or the hands to the legs, it's a combination of pulling yourself in, feeling that press to your feet and lifting up through your hips so that it gets this full engagement going on in the body. Awesome, friends. As you release out of this, just find a little squat at the top of your mat. This can feel really nice for your low back. We're not here for too long. This can be a little transition pose. If you wanted to curl your spine even more, you might bring those legs in a little bit closer, and with your hands to the ground or wrapping around your legs, you could bring your forehead in a little closer. And then just letting yourself start to rock back to your sit bones and then onto your back, bringing your knees to your chest, giving yourself a little rock side to side. We start to work into some poses for our core muscles. So to begin with, reach your legs straight up in space. Grab onto your hamstrings and then lift your head and shoulders off the ground. And then let go of the legs and reach your arms forward. And begin to start where you twist forward through your right arm and then twist forward through your left arm. We can always take one of our hands back behind the head if your neck feels like it needs added support. But you can keep that movement going through your side bodies. Okay, and then we're going to hold, but it's straight up, or base arm reaches up. And you can feel that flexion through the core muscles just as you're reaching up and holding and breathing. And then we'll rest in reclined cobbler's pose. If you wanted to lift it off the ground, you could grab a block if you've got one and slide it on level 1 underneath your sacrum. Otherwise, just have everything just flat down to the ground and letting the bottoms of the feet come together, the knees open wide in that diamond shape, and release the weight of the head and the arms as you focus on your breathing. If you are on that block, go ahead and slide it out of the way. And then the next pose that we'll be taking for our core muscles is just an extended leg lift. So you can take both hands behind the base of your ground and then just reach your legs out on a diagonal with your feet together. Okay, our movement piece is inhaling the knees into you, exhaling the legs straight up and back onto that diagonal. And then just note when your legs are on the diagonal, rather than your low back pulling away and arching away from the ground, we want to feel the low back pressed and rooted into the ground when the legs are on the diagonal. Hold the leg lift. So again, it's not about going super low. It's about finding a nice balance between legs straight up and legs on the diagonal. Breathe around that intensity that we get to create, right around that band of muscles, the center of our torso. Grab your hamstrings, lift yourself up in space, and then we'll plant the feet out wide towards the edges of the mat. Grab onto your shins. This could also be with your forearms. And on an inhale, you're going to lift into seated cow. And as you exhale, you get to lean back into seated cat, rounding through the back. And you've got this at your own pace. Add any side-to-side movement you'd like to take through the torso while you're inside of those poses. Okay, and then the second to last piece that we'll do for these core muscles is from our seated balance. So this is our Navasana boat pose, is the shape we'll work with. To begin with, cross your ankles, grab the hamstrings, and then focus on lengthening up through your spine, toning those shoulder blades in towards one another. And then we're going to start to row to the right and to the left while you're floating those legs and holding them in space. We've already had a lot of good twisting through that series earlier in class, and you're looking for that twist through that spine, so to the wall, opening to the wall. Nice, Amy. And then we're going to hold our boat pose, so uncross the ankles. You could have the hands right there at the hamstrings at any point that you need, or open the arms away. Knees can be bent. You could also explore lengthening the legs, but we don't want to sacrifice the length in our spine for the length in the legs. So keep that length in your spine and that control around the core muscles, control around your shoulders first and foremost. Relax through your face. We're here for a few more rounds of breath. Last one, you got it. Nice, Sharsti. And then just cross your ankles. We're going to come forward into our tabletop. And then for dolphin, we're going to let the elbows come down to the mat. And it's the bellies of your forearms that are down to the ground. Bring everything on parallel, right at shoulders distance, spread out through your palms. And then tuck your toes, and like down dog, you're drawing the hips up and back in space on a diagonal away from your elbows. There's a lot of work through the shoulders, through the arms as you're pressing down and hugging in towards center line, and the shoulder blades lifting that sternum back up towards the thighs. Both feet stay rooted, or inhale your right leg back and up in space. Press back and up through your heel. Find that breathing. Awesome. Let the right foot connect down to the ground. Inhale the left leg back and up in space. Press back up through your heel. Left foot comes down. Last couple rounds of breath here. And then we can transition this into Sphinx pose, so your hips need to comfortably be able to press into the mat, but you can walk your legs back to your forearm plank and then drop the hips down. And in Sphinx, we get this big stretch for our back, our low back, this big stretch for the abdominal wall. If you'd like, just let the gaze twist a little over the right shoulder. If your gaze is to the right, balance things out to the left. You could hold center with the head upright, a little length through the back of your neck, or keep that nice lift here. Let the weight of the head gently come forward, and maybe let your chin move a little side to side. Lower down to the mat, but then we are going to engage before we take a full rest, and the engagement is drawing up into our locust pose. So you're pressing down into the hips, into the belly. The chest is lifting up off the ground, so those upper abdominals are lifting off slightly away from the mat, and then we are lifting up through the feet, lifting up through the legs, and finding that length through the back of the neck. Like we did in our earlier forward fold, if you'd like to interlace your fingers at your knuckles, we can reach back through the knuckles and have a slight bend and lift through the elbows here. Nice breathing. Beautiful friends, lower down. You can just relax out like you're laying out at the beach. You're welcome to remain laying out at the beach, or if you want to come into one more pose and then we'll come right back here, we can come into Dhanurasana bow pose where we're bending the knees, drawing the heels into the sit bones, and then reaching the hands back to the tops of the feet or the ankles. This is a classic bind where it's a balance of kicking and pulling. So let the legs kick back and pull your arms taut, lifting your chest up. Thighs start to lift up off the ground. You want to tone the thighs, the knees into center line, and then that length through the back of your neck. Stay with your breathing. And then just totally up to you. When you're ready for it, release down and then just take that relax like you're laying out at the beach. As you release away from your feet and you relax your head and your arms, you could keep the feet up in space with the knees bent and just draw these big windshield wiper circles with the ankles. Rolling out the knees, getting into that low back. If you have had one side of your head to the ground and you haven't switched it out yet, go ahead and switch it out. The other side of your head resting. Press the hands to the ground. Lift up to that tabletop. Bring one of your hips to the floor and bring your legs forward in space. Get your heels up towards the top of your mat. And then walk the sit bones back a little bit in space. Find the front edge of your sit bones. Create that dorsal flexion through your feet and inhale your arms up like you were in mountain. Deep breath in. And as you exhale, hinge out from your hips and dive forward, connecting down to your ankles, your feet, or the ground. And the nice thing with this is you can add and subtract, bend in the knees as you need it. You can also play with that traditional seated forward fold with your spine where your gaze is down and the crown of the head is extending forward. Or you could also play with at times where your chest is lifted up in space. It's like watching someone on a road bike where they're kind of stretching out of that low back and the gaze is forward. Excellent, friends. Inhale to reach back up tall through your arms. Deep breath in. And on that exhale, bring your hands down into your heart center and then down at your sides, and we'll make our way onto our back. Allow the weight of your head just to release all the way down. Drop those knees in and give a nice rock out. And then for bridge pose, plant the feet to the ground, knees up in space, and we want to slide those heels underneath the knees. Feet are at hip bone distance. Start to press down, hips up off the ground. Step your shoulder blades closer into one another to make a little shelf for your heart. And then interlace your fingers at your knuckles like we did in forward fold and like we had the option for in locust pose. And roll onto the outsides of the biceps as you extend the knuckles towards the heels. And at this point, you're pressing down into all corners of the feet, lifting those hips up nice and tall, and then extend fingers forward but pressing down through the arms. Just staying with that breathing. And before any love is lost, vertebrae by vertebrae, just slowly roll the hips down into the ground. And we can take this one into happy baby, hooking the peace sign fingers up to the big toes. Bending the knees out wide with the ankle. The head down towards the ground as you rock side to side. Release your left foot to the ground and cross the right ankle over the top of the left knee or thigh like you did in figure 4 from standing. And then interlace the hands around the hamstring or the shin of that left leg. Relax the weight of the head. We're in our reclined pigeon. Find the flexion through your right foot. Let the right knee maybe gently flex forward. And you could have a little rock side to side through the body here. Send that left leg flat out in front of you. Reach your right leg straight up in space. And then just give a nice roll out through your right ankle. You can relax the weight of your head. Your hands could go to the back of the leg. Either keeping the leg extended or bending the knee in towards your chest. We'll come into a spinal twist where your left hand grabs the right knee and pulls down over to the left, rolling onto the outside edge of your left hip. Right arm to the right, and then twisting the gaze over to the right as well. And just feeling that breath weave its way through your body in our twist. Bring your knees back up to center and just give a little rock out on your back. And then right foot to the ground, left ankle over the top right knee or thigh. Interlacing the hands around the right hamstring or shin, finding that reclined pigeon for your left leg. That flexion through your left knee, flat forward. Weight of the head, and having a little side to side rock going on with the body. Working those inhales, working those exhales. Send your right leg flat out in front of you. Reach that left leg up in space, grab onto the back of it, relax your head and roll out through the left ankle. And then either keeping the leg extended or bending knee to the chest, we'll move into the spinal twist. So right hand grabbing the leg and pulling down over to the right, onto the outside edge of your right hip. Left arm out to the left, and that gaze going out across the left fingertips. Twisting from the tailbone all the way through the crown of the head. Come out of that twist onto your back. Bring the knees into your chest. And if there is a pose that you need to grab to complete, this is a good time to grab it. And essentially, whenever you are feeling ready for it, we can start to move into our final resting pose, our Shavasana. When you do go into your Shavasana, if you have any props or clothing around you that you want to add, just make yourself super comfortable. The idea is that we get to release the weight of our body. And then we just get to relax into this physical stillness and invite our mind and our emotions into that same stillness, so into that deeper place of peace. So nice and slow, just start to move your fingers and your toes. If you'd like, you could take a full morning stretch, reaching the arms back behind you and moving your ankles and your wrists. And then take the weight of your body onto your side into a fetal position. From your side, you can come up to a cross-legged position or whatever pose you'd like to end your class with. And as you build that cross-legged position, again, thinking about the base you're creating from the front edge of the sit bones, allowing the true length of the spine to reach up, allowing the shoulder heads just to take that roll down away from the ears, relaxing the weight of the arms and finding that length all the way up through the back of the neck. And the intention that we set with this posture is that we are rooted, we're grounded, but then we are also alert, ready, and aware. Thank you so much for coming out this evening and creating this beautiful practice. Have a fantastic rest of the night. The light in me greets the light in you. Namaste. Hardy of Mosaic Yoga.